This is In the Loop. I'm Christian Bryant. Tonight we've got a very special episode bringing you the sounds of civil rights and racial justice. And since Black History Month is also the shortest month, we're gonna savor every moment tonight. In the 1960s, the Freedom Singers traveled across the country raising money for the civil rights movement. In this animated feature, we'll hear from one of the founding members about how the group spread messages of hope. Then we'll park it down south and see a changing Birmingham, Alabama through the eyes of its cultural ambassadors, the Birmingham Sunlights. But first, here's what you need to know right now.
I need the public to understand that you're going to hear almost every day about a new variant somewhere in the United States because we're looking for them.
This week, two separate teams of researchers discovered a worrying variant in New York City. One of the mutations in this variant is the same change found in the South African variant, which could weaken the effectiveness of vaccines. To be clear, that doesn't mean the vaccines wouldn't work. They've proven mostly effective even against mutated versions of the virus. But the chances of infection are a bit higher with these variants. And remember, the basic precautions we all know by now are still our best defense.
We do want to maintain all of those social distancing and masking and hand washing and those things until we can make sure that we shut down the replication of variants.
Go ahead and bookmark this website on your browser, vaccinefinder.org. It's the Center for Disease Control's new tool to try and help people get COVID-19 vaccines since the whole situation nationwide has been a bit chaotic. The site isn't fully rolled out yet, but eventually the CDC hopes this will be a one-stop shop to see who has vaccines available and how to book an appointment there. Right now, the tool shows all the vaccine providers in Alaska, Indiana, Iowa, and Tennessee. The information is coming directly from healthcare providers who are supposed to report their inventory every 24 hours. Former President Donald Trump's tax returns are now in the hands of Manhattan's district attorney. It comes after the Supreme Court denied a last-ditch effort from Trump's team on Monday to keep the records shielded. The Manhattan DA's office is investigating whether Trump and the Trump Organization took part in any bank or insurance fraud, and whether they provided false information to banks about the value of their assets, including buildings they own. For the record, this doesn't mean the public will ever see these records, unless Manhattan's DA brings charges and includes the records in charging documents. What does Black history sound like? In a lot of ways, Black history sounds like protest music.
We thought it was a lockdown. They opened the fire.
A lot of Black music in some way is a protest. The music has played a central role in providing a sense of agency and protest about the lived circumstances.
You can hear that in Reconstruction era spirituals, freedom songs during the Civil Rights Movement, and more recently, everything from mainstream protest anthems to the chants of racial justice demonstrations.
This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
As far as African American communities, the music has been the channel of the sorrows, the joys, the hurts, the anger.
But unlike protest movements in the past, the coronavirus pandemic struck Black communities especially hard and throttled the ways so many people connect with this music.
You have this racial reckoning coincides with the COVID-19 pandemic. So the whole way that we're used to experiencing music is really unavailable. We don't have venues, we can't get together, we can't commiserate. Music is presence, being together, going to a concert, singing in a choir. There is nothing that replicates that.
It won't always be this way, thankfully. How we're able to safely get together will change. And inevitably, so will the way protest music ties into yet to be written Black history.
We shall overcome.
Do we look to our past or do we recreate something in the future? Does singing "We Shall Overcome" or the spirituals, for many people that's out of date. So how do we learn from that and reconceptualize ourselves?
The table about to turn. The table about to turn.
And that's part of the change. And I think we're in the position to etch out a new movement.
When you're back, we're getting animated. So we've heard how music has been at the heart of racial justice movements in past decades and today. But what about the voices behind that music? Alex Travis and Jennifer Smart of our Newsy documentaries team bring a bit of musical Black history to life in animation in our short doc, The Freedom Singer.
Jesus loves me, this I know.
My biggest passion is singing. I love to sing.
For the Bible tells me so.
I started singing at the age of 6 in my dad's church.
Little ones to him belong.
Every time I sang, I got superior.
I know Jesus loves me.
With me being sheltered by my dad, I didn't encounter any race relations because we didn't go to restaurants. He said, I built this house, and in this house there's a kitchen. We didn't go to the hotel. He said, in this house there are bedrooms. He sheltered us from all the ills of segregation. I went to Florida A&M in 1960, and I stayed there for a year, majoring in music. So during the summer of 1961 is when I came home. And during that summer of 1961, the Albany movement had begun.
I woke up this morning with my mind set on freedom.
The people in Albany were tired of being treated unequally. Hotels, restaurants, anything that was segregated, we desegregated it.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around.
You're walking down the street, you're singing, walking and singing, and you get to your destination and the police tells you to halt. You don't halt. And he tells you if you don't stop, we're gonna arrest you. You keep walking, you keep singing. So when you get to your destination, you kneel down and you pray. And then he says you're under arrest. You go limp. I was dragged up the steps. I was arrested 3 times. I have a total of 14 days in jail.
I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land.
The Freedom Singers were organized here in Albany, Georgia, during the Albany Civil Rights Movement. Cordell was the tenor, Bernice was alto, Ruth was soprano, and Chuck bass. The songs came from spirituals, gospels, rhythm and blues. The only thing happened was you would change the lyrics to fit the occasion. Say, for instance, a mass meeting, and you want the crowd participation. You got a familiar tune, all you got to do is teach the lyrics. Call and response.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome.
We traveled 50,000 plus miles in 9 months, covering 46 states. While we were traveling through Alabama, we were shot at. You should have heard us singing and praying, honey. But we got through that. Nobody was injured. There was a March on Washington during that time. And of course, we were asked to come, and Harry Belafonte had chartered a plane. And we got to be on the plane with the celebrities. So we thought we went hog heaven. The song I led was We Shall Not Be Moved.
We
Post-freedom singers, I traveled to different colleges and universities telling the story of the civil rights movement through song. Without the songs of the civil rights movement, there wouldn't have been a movement, because the songs uplifted you. They kept you from being fearful. Somehow, some way, you're not hit because of the songs.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around.
Freedom is a constant struggle. Yeah, we're still fighting today.
Turn me around, I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land.
Next stop, Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham, Alabama has weathered all manner of hardships, ranging back a century through the civil rights movement of the 60s and even today. And through past decades, this town, dubbed Magic City, has had the Birmingham Sunlights as its ambassadors. Early last year, my colleagues and I got a chance to meet the Sunlights and learn a bit about Birmingham's civil rights legacy. Keep in mind, this was filmed pre-pandemic, so don't be tweeting at me about masks. In this dispatch from Birmingham, you'll get to meet the Sunlights too, and hear how their city's history is woven into the tapestry of their art, something a little old school that they're passing along to the next generation. I hope y'all enjoy this.
Lord, what is that yonder? It's a
Birmingham has seen its share of trials and tribulations. The Great Depression destroyed black labor. FDR called it the most hard-hit town in the country. Explosive racist violence failed to derail the civil rights movement, but managed to run people out of the city. Hardship is foundational here, but so is resilience, and the Birmingham Sunlights have bore witness. The traditional a cappella gospel group are living artifacts. They've been honored by the US government, designated cultural ambassadors, and even archived in the Library of Congress. They've been sharing the culture's gospel for decades so that others will also carry the tune. What I didn't realize is that the Sunlights are always down for a show, even over breakfast. I guess the menu tasting here. What are we getting?
I don't know. I'm just gonna get sausage with egg, grits.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited now. I do eat grits. Look, I told y'all I'm from the South. Y'all didn't believe me when I said I'm from the South. You said I'm from North Carolina. North Carolina.
North is not south.
Okay, hold on now. You've gone all over the place. You've gotten awards. Clearly, you all have great senses of humor. Some more than others. I want to hear about the very beginning. Where did this start for you all?
It began back in 1978 with the Sunlights. But there was a beginning before the beginning. We all had to be trained.
That's what I'm talking about.
So, training in gospel quartet singing has been in our family for generations. So we are the Sunlights is the 5th generation quartet. But to say that it started in 1978 would be cutting us a little short because it goes back even before 1878.
What does it mean for you all to be cultural ambassadors? Why is that significant for you?
It's significant to me because I get a chance to not only showcase our talent, but give the world the opportunity to hear how the culture has advanced.
You all were around during the civil rights movement. I mean, what was it like being a part of, a history-making movement in a way? I mean, what can you say about that moment in time?
It was fun to me.
I don't know if that's how I've heard anybody.
I was young. I begged Mama to let me go, so she let me go. I caught the bus and went downtown by myself. It was at 16th Street Baptist Church. They said, we're gonna give you a sign. We want you to walk out the door, walk down the steps, and walk right into the arms of the police. So that's what I did. Somebody told us, man, they feed you real good down there. So I went down there, I said, oh boy, I'm gonna get me some ham and eggs and some grits. I said, well, by lunchtime, I'll be eating. Lunchtime, no food. Supper time, no food. Breakfast the next morning, no food. I said, somebody lied to me.
You see me shout.
So this is it.
Yep.
16th Street Baptist Church.
This is where it all happened, where it all started for me, right here. I came out that door right there, came down the steps, made a left turn, and about right here where that grate is where they were standing.
Mm-hmm. What'd they say to you?
Enough to let me know that I was going to jail. They said, they took the sign, and they said, you're now under arrest for parading without a permit. So I went to jail.
What'd the sign say?
We shall overcome. So, boy, that was a long time ago. 1963. God. After it was all over and I became an adult, I could really see the reason that we did what we did. It was very rewarding to me to have been a participant. I felt good.
Barry Taylor and the other Sunlights weren't just around for the civil rights movement, they were a part of it. And the Sunlights are in harmony with that history. So there's a lot of history in this park then.
A lot of history.
Amazing grace, how sweet.
What is it that you're wanting audiences to take away from, from the experience of listening to the Birmingham Sunlights?
A little joy and a little knowledge. That's why in every concert and every performance, we project a little knowledge.
I was lost, but
Birmingham, to me, has always been a good city, regardless of the problems that we had. I think the people here needs to know and appreciate their heritage, because I think it would give them a much greater sense of self-worth.
Praise God.
In order for people to progress, they must take their past, compare it to their present in order to design their future.
Praise God.